Hi, Rebecca. Good afternoon. My name is Tom Jones, and welcome to our webinar on supporting clergy and faith inclusion for people with disabilities. We're happy to have a good panel with us today, and we look forward to visiting with them. A few notes, this will be recorded, and it will be sent out to everybody. The format today is more conversational and more interactive. And so, what we will do is visit with our representatives here, Hassan and Topher and Rabbi Gabby. And so, we'll visit a little bit, but we invite your questions during their conversation. We'll have this conversation about supporting clergy for about 20 minutes. Then we'll go to some breakout rooms for about 20 minutes, and you'll be asked to choose a breakout room that you would like to attend. And and then we'll come back and kind of review and answer any other questions as we close at the end of this hour. So this is a new format, and we hope that you'll ask the questions. Hope you'll engage with our speakers today, and really get some one-on-one, get your questions answered, and have some one-on-one time maybe with our speakers. So again, this will be recorded, and I'll turn it over to Rebecca Wolf, who's our coordinator of interfaith engagement and faith inclusion. And so she will introduce our speakers. Rebecca?
Well, we have three good speakers today, and the first is Topher Endres, who has also been a speaker for us before. He is a reverend. He earned his Master's of Divinity from Vanderbilt Divinity School in Tennessee, and he also has his PhD from University of Aberdeen, which is in Scotland. And the exciting thing I'd like to say about Topher is that he just got his first book published. It's called Accompanying Disability, um, and highly recommend it. And he's spoken about that for us before. And his denomination of Christianity is Disciples of Christ. So thanks, Topher, for joining us again. And also Hassan is here, Hassan Natour, who has also been a speaker for us before. So welcome back again. He graduated from the Islamic University of Medina in Saudi Arabia. His degree is in Arabic and Islamic law, and he is an imam and an outreach coordinator at the Prayer Center of Orland Park, which is in Illinois. Is that right, Hassan?
That's correct.
Okay, just making sure. And he's also a spiritual guide for Muslims, and helping with special education and health. So, welcome, Hassan. And now we also have Rabbi Gabrielle Cohn joining us today for the first time. And Rabbi Cohn is uh, legally blind. She became blind in 2016. Um, she is a rabbi since just last year. She got her rabbinical ordination from Hebrew Union College in New York City. And she was also the first person to be ordained as a rabbi with a guide dog, which you will hopefully get to hear about today. Also, she currently serves as a rabbi in Corpus Christi, Texas, at Congregation Beth Israel. And before that, she had worked for the Institute of Southern Jewish Life, getting to work with different congregations all over the South region of the US. So, welcome, Rabbi Cohn. We have a very diverse group of speakers, so looking forward to hear all your experience and perspectives. So, I will go back to you, Tom, to get started with our discussion.
Okay. Well, if you have questions during this conversation, just put them in the chat, and Rebecca will interject those when there's an opportunity. One of the things that we realize is that when we want to start an outreach or ministry for people with disabilities, a lot of times it's either successful or it fails because of the faith leader. And faith leaders are really, really important to getting these ministries going and to continuing those. And so we wondered, how can we support our faith leaders, our clergy, and some different situations that we might encounter in our faith communities? And one of the first instances is when a faith community has a faith leader who has a disability. How can our congregations and our other faith leaders support uh, persons who have disabilities that are faith leaders? And so I would invite our our panelists, our speakers today, to kind of discuss some ways that you think that are really, really helpful in supporting a minister, a imam, or rabbi, or any faith leader who might have a disability or either physical or otherwise. So I'll open it up to you guys. Topher, you're never at a
Well,
loss for words. So
I knowing a bit, having been on a panel with Hassan before and briefly speaking with Rabbi Gabri before this, I'm just assuming none of us want to speak over one another or step on any toes by jumping in right away. So feel free to call on us so that we know it's our appropriate turn to talk.
okay.
Um, I Something that just came up in our congregation that I think is really helpful and was really eye opening. Uh, I have another minister in our congregation as well, and he has a chronic disability related to his back, and so because of a degenerative disc disorder, he has sometimes sort of this chronic pain flare up. That's been mostly well controlled since I've been there, but right now he's dealing with this sort of continuous pain that has been really disruptive in his life. And so one of the conversations we've been having is about adjusting how we do our liturgy. In our building, it was built in the 1890s at a time when they didn't anticipate clergy would be physically disabled and welcomed up into the front. So they built their chancels, the area that's sort of raised in the front, up on steps. It was traditional that ministers would preach from behind a tall pulpit. They'd have to climb up there and preach from there. And so what we've talked about is how do we adjust, given our space limitations, to make it acceptable and normal and actually even good for him to potentially speak from the floor and sitting down in a chair instead of standing up at the pulpit where it might be physically difficult. And I think the thing that emerged over the last couple of weeks as we've been talking about this is to preempt the accommodation and the need by addressing it as a good thing, as a positive thing, a thing that can be um, a positive marker of some truth about what it means to be human, and cast that accommodation need as a positive for the sake of the community before people have a time to kind of complain about it, or to remark or make those side comments to say, oh, well, he normally preaches from up there. I wonder why he didn't this time. Or even those, just they are seemingly neutral, but they're really kind of judgmental conversations, not even giving them space to set the tone, but setting the tone beforehand to talk about disability as a good thing, as a positive, because it marks who we are as people, as people who are inherently limited, but also limitation isn't a bad word. And so I think there's something about putting the conversation in positive terms preemptively, setting the tone, and giving ministers, imams, rabbis, faith leaders of every persuasion the space to say, I'm disabled, or I need this accommodation, or I need this support, and to have that be deemed by the community as, wow, what a wonderful display of faith and love and humanity, rather than, oh, now we have to figure out how to deal with this. And I think that tonal switch is a really important way of supporting clergy, whether they're dealing with a short-term disability, a long-term degenerative disability and related to aging, or something more congenital that they were born with, whatever it is. Naming it as something good.
Oh, good point, Topher. Really, really good point. Rabbi Gabby, I know you've had some
Yeah.
personal experience with this, and wondered if you
Yeah.
want to share with us.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So I started in my job a little over a year ago, and it was interesting. When I was searching for a job with a congregation, was not totally sure what to expect in terms of what accommodations I would need, and also how to articulate my needs to a congregation. I did in my interview materials, I made people aware of my blindness, and especially because I have a guide dog, and she would be coming to in-person interviews with me, sort of thing. And also, once I got offered a position here in Corpus Christi, I said, law mandates reasonable accommodations for my disability. And they said, great. What reasonable accommodations do you need? Right? Because they can't tell me what I need. I have to be able to articulate what I need. And so, for one, right, the person with the disability, the clergy with the disability, like being able to know what resources are available and can be done. So, and my congregation actually wrote into my contract uh, appendix to my contract of reasonable accommodations that I had requested, so that it was in writing, it was clearly articulated that, for me, for instance, I needed a larger monitor because I zoom in and it's easier if I have a gigantic monitor. So literally my monitor is, I think, like 30 inches. It's this big, right? And I also needed software for zooming in. If it was a PC, if it was a Mac, then the software is built in. And I also, the biggest thing for me was being able to read from Torah, because when I read from paper, I often use a magnifier, but you can't place a magnifier on the Torah. It's handwritten. If you touch the parchment, the letters will literally fall off. And so I said, listen, I'd like to either be able to read from, like, my actual reading be from a piece of paper that has the Torah text printed on it in large print, that I just like am still following along in the actual Torah, but I'm reading from the large print text. Or I need a gooseneck magnifier, which, like, I was like, that's a dream. No one's going to buy me a gooseneck magnifier. And sure enough, the congregation said, great, send us some magnifiers that would work. And they bought me this standing gooseneck magnifier that's in our chapel, in our small chapel where I do Saturday morning services, that has a light, and it's gigantic, really tall, and I can put it over the Torah without actually touching the Torah with it, which has been huge for me, not just with the Torah, but also with prayer books and things like that. So for me, with hiring clergy with a disability, it's about collaborating with the clergy person and really making sure that like their specific needs are met. Every person who has a disability, or every person in general, experiences the world in a different way, and we can't mind read what other people need. And so having that conversation, having it be an open conversation, also was big for me.
Okay, thank you. Sounds like collaboration was really an important part of becoming a rabbi for your congregation. Hassan, can you share with us a little bit about your thoughts on supporting
Firstly,
faith
good
groups?
afternoon. Absolutely. Good afternoon, everybody. It's amazing to be here with you all virtually. Appreciate the beautiful words from Topher and Rabbi Cohen. Thank you for sharing that. Just kind of grasping everybody's perspective here, and I'm just kind of thinking out loud with you, that this phenomenon of disability isn't something new. It's always been a part of the fabric of humanity, especially in the Islamic community. And it just comes to show that every soul is carrying something. For some people, it's something physical, right? It's a wheelchair, or it's a cane, or it's a hearing aid. But for others, it could be invisible. It's pain or anxiety, or it could be depression, fatigue. And God reminds us in the Holy Quran, and He says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, that we have certainly honored the children of Adam, that this honor doesn't vanish with age or with illness or with disability. And it's not reduced by society's labels or limitations. And that honor is sacred. It is from God. It is God-given. And God Himself honored every child of Adam. And it's our duty to honor them as well, especially our clergy, those who are, tools for guidance, bringing people closer to God. That is something absolutely magnificent. So, people who are leading despite their own struggles, or people who are advocating for inclusion, or those who are just really learning to walk this path, they need to be supported as well. And we have many examples, even the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, when he would travel and he was no longer able to lead prayer in the city of Medina, he would assign the companion by the name of Maktoum. He was a blind companion, and he would lead the prayer. And this was not, you know, uh, just the prophet being nice. This was the prophet understanding that this man had leadership qualities, that when everybody saw weakness, he saw leadership. That just because somebody struggles in a certain area or aspect of their life doesn't mean that they are falling short in all other aspects, right? God tells us that there is no blame upon the blind nor upon the sick, that disability is not a guilt, it is not failure, it's not a burden, it's a part of human diversity. And that shows. Even the prophet was one of the companions who was pretty um he had very thin legs, actually, and people used to make fun of him because of this disability that he had. And the prophet said that his legs are heavier on the scale of deeds than the mountain of Uhud, which is a mountain in the city of Medina, which is a blessed mountain for the Muslims in our history. And he said it's huge, and he said they're heavier than the scale, than that mountain on his scale. So the prophet is, dismantled stigma by showing that the spiritual weight, outweighs the physical form. That you don't know what goes on beneath, in this individual, his relationship with God. You don't know that. You don't know people's own relationship with God. So the prophet is teaching us that society tells us to look at the outside, right? As they say, don't judge a book by its cover. Look at the outside, right? But the prophet's saying that God does not judge by your appearance. God does not judge by the amount of money that you have. God looks at your actions, looks at your deeds, looks at the state of your hearts. So clergy oftentimes who struggle with this with disabilities as well, they're facing almost double burdens because they have the demand of leading, but also it's the silent weight of being underestimated, right? And that can lead to burnout, that could lead to isolation, that could lead to shame. And when communities affirm them, and when accessibility is prioritized, that studies show mental well-being and confidence are going to rise dramatically within that individual. So in a practical sense, let's make our spaces accessible. Let's offer, assistive technology, but we also have to treat individuals with their full dignity. Ask them what support they need rather than assuming. That's something that's very important. Create, if it's like peer networks of clergy who lived, this experience, so no one feels alone, right? This is something that's important that we've seen within the Islamic community, that we're taught by our beloved Prophet, who was ultimately nothing that he taught us was except revelation from God. So the way that he dealt with individuals, the way that he was with people, these are all living examples of the past that teach us how we dictate our future, how we dictate future generations to come. Because the prophet said, and God says that the faith has been completed for you. What is right is clearly right. What is wrong is clearly wrong. It's visible for you there. There is no contradiction in religion. There is no, just confusion. It's right there. So the way how we need to live our lives pleasing to God, is a big part of that is how we are in service to other people. And I'll end with this. Sorry, just for going on a rant here. The Prophet, he said, إنما تنصرون وترزقون بضعفائكم, that you basically will attain victory and you will attain a level of provision the more that you are, giving to the people who are less than you or who are considered to be weak than you. Why? The Prophet showing us that the blessings come, the protection and the blessings and the victory that you see are not because of your strength or because of your wealth or because of your numbers, but because of the presence of the spiritual strength within the people who are tend to be weak and marginalized in your own community.
Uh,
That's where it comes from.
okay. Thank you, Hassan. And just so we know, Hassan has had a death and will need to leave early. So thank you for your contributions. Um, what One of the things before we get into our breakout rooms, if one of the things I'd like for us to talk about is what do faith leaders need in different situations if they want to start a disability ministry or an outreach or be more inclusive in their own faith community. And if there's a faith leader who doesn't have the knowledge of disability and faith issues and inclusion, how do we support those ministers? How do we support those rabbis in those different situations? What do they need to know, and how do they begin? And so I'd invite uh, Rabbi Cohn or Topher or Hassan. I'd invite you to share your thoughts about how do we equip faith leaders to be inclusive of people with disabilities.
Hassan, did you need to leave soon? And if so, would you like to go first on this so that you
Go
can?
go ahead. I'll wait for the both of you guys, and then I'll have to depart after that. I appreciate you though. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'll go real quick. I think that there are so many organizations out there that are doing the work to help provide resources, and that the problem is that a lot of clergy don't know that these organizations exist. Um, and so whether it's, and I don't have an answer, right? Just some theories and ideas is, I know like yesterday I was at a program where it was a bunch of organizations collaborating, but I don't think that a majority of congregations, and it was a Jewish focused group, but I don't think a majority of congregations knew that the event was happening necessarily. And so it's really in helping to connect clergy who are doing this work to organizations like this, to organizations that are doing the work to help build those bridges and build those gaps, so that they know there are resources that already exist out there. They don't have to reinvent the wheel, because as clergy, we have so much on our plates that it can feel daunting and impossible if we feel like we're alone in this fight, in this work to make our congregations accessible. Um, and so, really leaning on not just each other as other clergy, but on the organizations that already exist and are present, to help find ways to support our congregants and those that we serve, as well as our colleagues.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I would say I think about often whenever I have an issue that comes up in my congregation that I don't know about, my first inclination is to kind of Google it, and then I'm overwhelmed by all of the different options, and I don't know necessarily which one to start with or which ones are reputable or have the in-depth knowledge that I can trust. And so then I usually text a few colleagues and say, hey, I'm looking at an issue of eco theology. Do you know any resources that I should start with? And so it usually turns down, it usually turns into who do I know that knows? And so I think one way we can help our clergy from different traditions who don't have the knowledge because they didn't get it in their religious training, is to just be more public with the fact that all of us who are in this group here, we are connected to some of these organizations already, and we do know where to start. We know to point people back to Finn or to the Institute on Theology and Disability or to an in-house disability group within our denomination or our tradition. So I think it's us being more public as the sort of the node that we don't have to be the experts, but we know where people should go to get that information. And if we can amplify our own voices and be clear about, hey, there are some great things out there, then when the issue arises, people will know to look for us and to say, oh, I have this question. I know I can email Rabbi Cohn and she'll point me in the right direction.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Topher. And Hassan, if you have anything to share real briefly before you have to go.
Sure. I would just say that I think it's important to be real, that we have to be raw, that um, advocating for anything in general, especially if it doesn't pertain for the mass majority, it's draining. It could be difficult at times. It's not easy. You have clergy who, people are saying everyone belongs here, and they're reminding us that accessibility is not extra, it's essential, right? And we're taught this, in our own scriptures, I'm sure in the Bible and the Torah and whatnot, especially in the Quran. But advocacy is draining, and leaders face pushback. People will roll their eyes at them, and they'll make a fuss or whatever the situation may be, and we've always done it this way, it needs to be this way, and it takes a toll. And I think we have to be understanding as well of the congregation. That's very important. But it does take a toll on the leaders. So how do we support them? And I think that we stand with them. We give them the mic, right? Back them up with the resources that they need. Don't let them stand alone, right? Reminding them of the sacred work that they're doing, that they're lifting these barriers, they're honoring God's creation. And when they get tired, we help carry that load. We help them with that, that process, because that's something that's very important. Just because, even if it's a clergy in general that is, advocating for disability, and they themselves have a disability or they don't have a disability, that also plays a big role as well. But regardless of it plays a role in how people understand and perceive the message. But regardless of that, it's important that they get the support that they need, because what they're preaching and what they are advocating for is something I'm sure we can agree across all scriptures, something that is pleasing to God, bringing inclusion to all of humanity.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, and we do have so much in common across the faiths, and um, in our belief about people with disabilities and how God views them, and the support that we need to offer. And so, thank you. We'll go into our breakout rooms. We'll have 20 minutes, and you will be able to choose. There are three breakout rooms that you can choose from, and some of our speakers will be in those different breakout rooms. And you'll have a chance to visit, share, and ask questions of them. So we'll have about 20 minutes in the breakout room, and then they will bring us back together. So we will open the breakout rooms, and let's see. Now, are you able to? You'll need to join a breakout room. Are you able to do that?
If it doesn't pop up for you, if you go down to your bottom menu and there's the More button with three dots inside a circle, and you click that, then there's an option for breakout rooms. It will have a pop up, and you can select which of those you're most interested in. I will be in the Tom. Which one will I be in? The second
You,
one.
the second one, yes. And I'll be in the third one, and Rabbi Cohn will be in the first one.
I am here to support faith leaders with disabilities. I'm not sure if it matters which room I go to. I'm from JBI Library, offering resources for congregations and everyone supporting people with disabilities. Should I join one of these or stay out of it because I'm not a faith leader?
It doesn't matter. Join
Okay.
one of those. Yes, whichever one
Thanks.
you would like to, Jill.
Thank you. Okay.
Maybe the first one, Jill, might be the best fit, or I mean, any
Okay.
that you're interested in.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Can you repeat the instructions on how to get to the breakout rooms? I'm sorry.
Yes. So
Um,
on mine, if you go to the bottom center of your Zoom screen, you have a menu. On the far right, on my version at least, the far right is a button that has three dots inside of a circle, and underneath it, it says More. When you click on that, it gives you the option of uh, on a pop-up menu, it says Breakout Rooms. When you click that, there's another pop-up with three options here: faith leaders with disabilities, faith leaders starting disability ministry, and faith leaders with limited knowledge on disability. And there should just be a blue join button on those. Is that helpful, or is just yours look different?
I'm on a phone, so I can't find that. I can find the scroll bar. I appreciate you explaining it though. I haven't found the more button.
I think on. Oh, let me see if I can. I don't know if I can join from my phone as well. I often join from my phone, so I should know this off the top of my head, but I don't. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead to I appreciate your help. Go ahead to your group and I will hopefully find one.
I'll go to assist Rabbi Cohn, Tom, and then
okay.
are you going to another
And I'll go to the third one, faith leaders with limited disability knowledge.
Okay.
Of Job's daughters. Okay. And then in high school, I served on the speech club doing oratorical and dramatic interpretations and Toastmaster. Okay. And then as an adult, I'm a member of the Eastern Star and I've been chaplain for 8 years. So don't tell me I can't speak in front of a large group of people. Okay. And I looked at her and I said, it's not the large congregation, it's the fact that I'm ADHD. And she said, don't talk to me like that. And I said, it's the same reason you got Jill fired, but you lied to the congregation about it. And I said, now is not the place to talk about it. So the next day she wrote me a nasty letter and told me that I needed to leave the church. And yesterday I received a letter from her saying that she was going to go to the congregation and ask that I be removed from membership on the 20th of the month. All because I'm ADHD.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate, Mary. And I don't mean to cut you off, but
I didn't come on this to discuss what happened to me.
Okay, but I've heard that story quite a bit, and it kind of leads back into the leadership question. You know, the minister, rabbi, or you know, with limited knowledge, which is what we're here talking about, and they don't know how, and so I think a lot of it is just fear, and
God has called me to bring the disabled into church. But more than that, he's called me to write curriculum to teach the pastors and the laity about the disabled. Good. And I'm working on that right now, and to set up like a retreat where they can come in and literally experience the different types of disability. Find out what it's like to have to be sitting there trying to write something and make it very distracting. Or find out what it's like to be unable to walk, but you need to get up those stairs somehow.
Yeah.
Okay. And make them experience it a little bit. And in that experience, they'll have more understanding as to what those of us that have these different disabilities deal with. Then it will be easier for them to accept and make their disability ministry. So that's what I'm working on.
Good.
I taught Sunday school for 29 years. So I've written my own curriculum for that sometimes. So that's what I'm working on. He called me to do it. I've been working on it. It's going to take a little bit, but I'm already contacted the Cleveland Sight Center to get information for the blind, the Cleveland Speech and Hearing Center for the deaf. I myself have macular degeneration and I have hearing aids, so I already know a little bit about that. I have cerebral palsy, so I've already talked to some people about mobility and stuff. So I'm not taking this all out of the air.
No, you're doing everything you can, and I applaud you for doing that. Now, does anybody else have some other ideas of how we can help ministers or faith leaders who just don't know? And you know, Mary has really talked about something that's really important. I think is it's hard to get people to understand the challenges that people with disability have, and to carry that in their minds for the ministers to carry that and to be sensitive. Any ideas from the rest of the people in the group? Yes, Julia.
I mean, I'm about to embark on something new with my organization. I work for Jewish Learning Venture, which is a Jewish engagement and education nonprofit in Philadelphia, and I'm their director of professional learning. And I do a lot of my work is actually in inclusion, but mostly with synagogue educators, and and I imagine that maybe in the Christian faith, that maybe if it works similarly, like Sunday school teachers, and people who run Sunday schools, and sort of the separation between what happens in the school and what happens with the congregation as a whole, there's that, there's a chasm there. So we actually have had for a number of years a disability consortium that's been a combination of disability agencies and some congregations, but this year we're splitting it up, and I'm going to be running the congregational consortium. But this consortium will then have access to all the agencies that we work with. The agencies will come and do presentations for them, and in this consortium, we're asking congregations, don't just let it be the ed director again, like who's already overburdened, right? Like bring the clergy, bring the lay leaders. If there's if you're wanting to start a disability inclusion committee, or you have, but you're kind of lost, like we're going to have the benefit of each other and expertise, and we're going to keep exercising this muscle. So that's why I'm in this space, and I'm like excited to like maybe hear like any people have ideas, as I'm like about to start this, and I haven't, like, it hasn't launched yet, this specific congregational consortium. But yeah.
Yeah, great idea. Great idea. And I wish you success for that. And just being connected with the disability community and the agencies, and having that awareness is just really, really important.
You might want to connect with Key Ministries.
Yeah.
Do they work with them with?
They're strictly trying to get the disabled into churches.
Right.
But do they work with Jewish folks?
They work with, they're worldwide, so they work with different denominations worldwide. They have a roundtable once a month, and they're online. Just look up Key Ministry and just see what they have.
Yeah, I don't know that some of the things with inclusion are the same in a lot of different faiths. Even though the faith is different, some of the tools and methods that we use are similar. So it may be helpful there, Julia, but more Jewish specific. There may be other ones that you look at.
Yeah, and we have a number that we work with, and so it's not for us as much. Like actually, in the Jewish community, I'd say that we have probably, I don't know, there just even in my region, we have a lot. It's what someone, it's what you talked about, or someone like making that, like, do they know about it? Like it's making that connection and keeping that connection going, and seeing them as a resource, like throughout, not doing this alone.
Yeah,
Julia, I
exactly.
noticed.
Exactly.
The big thing I notice is people don't understand there's a difference between an adult that's disabled and a child that's disabled. That's two different entities.
There's can be a lot of conversation about that, especially like the people's tolerance for children, neurodivergent and disabled children in a service. There's a lot to unpack there.
There it is.
Yeah.
Erica and Robin, do you have some thoughts?
Erica's mouth was moving, so.
Can you hear me? Am I muted?
No, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So Julia, I work for Jewish Disabilities Advocates. It's a program of JFS of Colorado, and we do We work with mostly congregations, synagogues in the Denver and Boulder areas on disability inclusion and trying to make organizational change around disability inclusion for people with all types of disabilities. And most of our work has actually been in the adult space in terms of ritual practice and engagement and making sure people are invited to participate in committees and a lot of work to make sure that spaces are accessible and accommodations are in place, et cetera. But we just put out a survey to our ed directors in the area to understand better the needs they have in supporting students with disabilities in the education program. So I know, as I'm sure you do,
And that's my area of expertise.
exactly. We're kind of a little flip,
right.
and,
Complementary.
Right. Matan and Gateways are two, wonderful partners in that. But I would, be very interested in learning more about the consortium, the congregational consortium you're putting together. And it seems like there's overlap between what we're trying to do again at a very local level in Colorado and maybe what you're trying to do is more national. Are you
So the congregational consortium is going to just be local. The other consortium is not. So Matan and Gateways have representatives on that one, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk. So we should talk.
Where are you based?
In Philly.
Oh, in Philly. Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah. I hope,
all right, but we'll connect.
Guys, we'll connect there. Robin, I want to give you a chance here to, I know you were very in your chat, really looking forward to kind of sharing some information together. And so what do you see as some of the needs that you're facing?
So I'm not primarily here because of the needs I'm facing. Faith and disability and that overlap and intersection has been a long-term interest of mine. I'm chronically ill, neurodiverse, and disabled. And Canadian Anglican, so we are the pro-2S LGBTQ plus and ordination of women variety of Anglican. Priest. So some of why I'm here is to see what I can do that's helpful for people and what connections I can build.
Okay.
Robin,
okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to ask, are you clergy there, Robin?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Where are you at?
Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I think Julia has a question.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. I was going to just say, and it's true for both Mary and Robin, I've found that it really helps for people to hear first person stories and to just how to make yourself available to, and I guess Tom probably has a way of making what we call the shidduch, the connection, the matchmaking, but really both of your lived experience, I think, is what often moves people.
Most of the time, it's, for me, people don't want to hear it. I mean, for what has happened to my body, I've lost 62 pounds of muscle and bone because of the cerebral palsy. But mostly the problem I have is getting people to understand that I cannot, no matter how hard I try, I cannot act any different than I do because of my cerebral palsy, because of my severe ADHD. I am medicated. So what you're seeing now is a medicated severe ADHD. If I didn't have my medication, I'd be running circles. I wouldn't be able to sit here at the computer. Okay. I mean, I'm a very creative person. I come up with ideas. Can I follow them through? We'll see. It took me 15 years to become a certified lay speaker in the Methodist Church. That usually you can do in maybe 2.5.
Yeah.
It took me 50. And part of it was because I couldn't get anybody to believe that I really could do the work. I got it done, but nobody would sponsor me or help me get the paperwork through. And I finally had to do it all on my own because nobody would help me.
I think visibility and just being there, uh, being a pain in the rear if you have to, or just continuing to be present is important. To see Robin, to see you in a leadership position in your church, Mary, to see you doing everything you're doing, Julia, uh, what you and Erica are doing in the Jewish faith and in your community, just the presence of disability and in whatever church or faith community that you're in, it has an impact, I think, on a lot of people that we may not be aware of. And so I think that's one key is really the visibility and that helps with the awareness that we're not a faith community of perfectly able-bodied people, that we are a faith community that includes everyone of all abilities. And so just being present, I think, is just hugely important. Being connected, kind of like Julia, you and Erica are connecting now, I think is really important as well. I live in West Texas, and we're like 5 hours from any major city. And with the people in the Jewish faith, sometimes there's maybe one small Jewish synagogue in a town. So sometimes you're isolated from one another and not as well connected, which I think what happened yesterday in making Jewish life accessible has a lot of positive things keeping people in the Jewish faith and disability world connected. But anyway, the connections I think are hugely important wherever we might be, and it's what we try to do in the Faith Inclusion Network. Others do the same thing in other networks too. And it looks like we're going to have to close now, but anyway, thank you for your contributions and thank you all for what you're doing in your setting and through your life. And we just need more of you. And
is there some way we can get the emails of the different people that are here in this group?
I'd have to, well, in this room, if everyone's agreeable, you know, we could probably share those. I could connect you. And I don't mind if others don't mind.
Yeah,
But,
that's fine with me too.
Yep.
Thank you for putting this together, Tom. It is really wonderful to be able to have these conversations and connect. And I'm very grateful to the Faith Inclusion Network for all the work that you're doing.
well, thank you, Erica. Thank you. And let's go ahead and
just have leaving.
Hey, Tom, how do we go back to the main room? The timer went off, but
okay, I'll close the room now.
okay.
Oh, there we go. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. Let's see.
Hi, this is Peter's wife, Susan. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Peter was trying to figure out how to get out of the breakout room. And I couldn't figure that out either. I took him to a different breakout room And from there, it said leave breakout room.
Yeah,
So
they ended up, they just closed the breakout rooms. So
I was to say, and it brought me right back to you.
yeah, we're now out of the breakout room. This is great.
Okay.
Okay, and it's showing that the breakout rooms will close in about 1 minute. I don't want anybody to be trapped in that breakout room indefinitely here. So they may have started at different times. So I think, let's see. I know we have on our calls quite a number of people who um, are clergy that have a disability. And I really do think that that's a very encouraging thing um, to see more and more people with disabilities in the field. Um, I happen to be one of those that in the 80s was also kind of turned down for ordination because I had epilepsy. And so um, things have changed a lot since then. And maybe there still might be those prejudices, but uh, really, I see more and more people being supportive at the seminaries and in some denominations, supportive of people with disabilities as leaders in their faith communities. Okay. Um, Hopefully we have everybody back. Let's so we're past the hour here, so I think what we'll do is um, that's our. I think what we'll do is go ahead and close. And I would want to thank all of our speakers for being with us today. And also, I want to thank everybody who participated. It's good to see some old friends and people I'm acquainted with and on other webinars. So glad to have you back. And so we will go ahead and adjourn for now. I will send this to all of the registrants. And then also next Wednesday, we'll have another kind of a roundtable again on accommodations that we can make in our faith communities for people with disabilities. And we will have Laura Deakins from Adaptive Word and Tally Cohen Karras from Gateways talking with us about different modifications and accommodations we can make in our curriculum as we teach our kids and adults with disabilities and help them in their faith formation as well. So until then, we'll say goodbye and hope to see you guys at some of our other webinars. And Jill, I can send you a sign up. I can send you a sign up thing.
Thanks so much,
I've,
Tom. Thanks.
yeah, I've got your email, so I'll email everybody on this call a link to sign up and register. So
you can also follow Faith Inclusion Network on Facebook, and all upcoming events are always posted there with registration links.
So we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you. Oh, and Deborah, whoops, did Deborah leave? Oh, yes.
I'm still here.
Topher, sorry to call you out. Would it be possible to email you to find out more about that person in Tennessee you were talking about?
Yes, but remind me, which person in Tennessee?
I think you were talking about someone who is doing work in Tennessee trying to promote inclusion, and you said they just kept at it for so long eventually.
Yeah, that was actually, there was a host of people. I did a report on, I think I took like a dozen churches that were listed by a parent and self-advocacy group that had named these dozen churches as being accommodating or